Look, we got to get into this story right here. You know, I mean, Big Mike. And not the Big Mike that's on Law 360, the other Big Mike, Michael Jackson. I tell you what, Mike Lee, we predicted this. You know, we suspected that there was some deeper things going on concerning Michael Jackson's death. And I don't know if Alex remembers this. We went to see the Michael Jackson movie. What was it? This Is It.
This Is It.
Yeah, and we all commented on how Mike looked like he was in perfect health, and wow, man, he's doing his show. How did he die that quickly? You know, the day of his death, he looked like he could do 20 shows. Well, that wasn't reality. Now we got to change our thinking on that. Michael Jackson was sick, according to the lawsuit that his mother filed. And in fact, he was having some profound difficulties in the days leading up to his death. She is alleging that he missed a rehearsal because he was sick in the days leading up to his death, and that the president or CEO of AEG Live, who was handling his concert series, upcoming tour, came to his house and said, hey man, you got to get yourself together and get back to these rehearsals.
Go get this money.
Let's go get this. I know you said we got to go get this money. And told Mike, she said he read Mike the Riot Act and said, hey man, you either get your behind up and you get to these rehearsals or we're going to cancel the tour. And Mike was having shivers at the rehearsals and needed extra jackets because he was sick. All this was going on in the days just prior to his death. Things that you didn't know.
Yeah, what Ken, it's kind of ironic that you say that, because when you stop and think about it, and you said that he was actually sick, and they were doing everything they could to get into these rehearsals and things like that. We talked about this subject matter that it is said some people are worth more dead than alive. So if he was in fact sick and this guy can't make it, they could have easily promoted something different. I'm not saying that was the case, but according to the AEG attorney, he claims the suit, which he's going to claim the suit to be meritless and unsubstantiated, inaccurate, because, and that I'm talking about Marvin Putnam, that's the attorney for AEG. He says that Michael Jackson hired Murray, that they did not hire him, in fact.
Well, there's a big dispute there because the allegation now is that AEG prepared a contract for Dr. Murray, and now there's the suggestion that this contract somehow magically was never signed. So there's this big dispute about who hired Conrad Murray. But I tell you what, this is not a simple story like we thought. One of these things where Mike just had a bad day, Murray, pumped him up full of, drugs, and then Mike passed it away. The white milk, and Mike just passed it. There are a lot more complications going on here.
And we talked about, in the 12-month period following his death, his estate has grossed more than $1.4 billion.
Well, Alex asked that question. She said, who benefited relative to all this money that was earned after Mike passed away? And it was we had a real quick answer, the estate. Well, wait a minute. AEG made some money too, I'm sure. Yeah. So the question becomes, and it really works out to a valuation issue. Was he worth more dead than alive? I mean, now you've got all this money that's being generated because he's dead. Now, what if Mike had been able to do 2 shows and had to shut it down? I mean, how much money would have been generated then? I mean, shut it down because he's sick. Yeah. I mean, you have to start looking at some real numbers, and you wonder now.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Mike. I was going to say, I believe, in that notion. Unfortunately, he's probably worth more than he dead than he is alive. But what saddens me as a big Michael Jackson fan is that where was all this creativity before the man died? I mean, we could have did a new Captain EO and re-released that. We could have did all these things on the internet. There was so many things that he could have did, or that they got material for years on Michael Jackson. It's sad that they didn't do anything with that.
And then the question becomes, like you say, what if he was saying no to that?
True. Yeah.
And then he becomes
a liability.
And so again, I mean, you really, you almost wonder now where this story is headed. And I tell you who I want to hear from, oddly enough, and this is going to sound strange to you guys. I want to hear from Conrad Murray, because he knows the real deal. Now, whether or not he'll ever tell us, the real deal. He knows what happened in that room.
He better keep his
He
mouth
knows
can only
why
say so
it
much, I can
happened.
tell you that
That's
right now.
exactly right. And do you see Conrad Murray's face?
Probably over there with Larry Hoover.
Do you see
can turn him
Conrad
around
Murray's
like
face
that.
when he's coming to court?
Yeah.
He looks like he needs 8 or 9 gallons of Maalox when he's walking through that line.
You know.
He looks like, man, I want to tell you guys
Y'all
what's
better
going
get me
on.
out of here.
Probably some folks sitting in the courtroom before you get there.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's gonna be deep. So we'll see what
Them
develops.
other
into that
alphabet
stuff.
boys.
Yeah.